In the middle of your heart, there's a space. It transcends dimension. Access is 12, actually. And when you're present in this space, balance is accessible. Balance of forces you can't see, recognize, feel, even honor. To intend balance in this space gives you access. You need to want it. And wanting this generates a potential that is present. You do start to feel it, but you got to get the want to a certain level. And to do this is a personal dialogue with divinity. You design it. I can mirror to you what I do. I urge you not to deeply invest in your concept of what I'm sharing, because ultimately this is a personal connection and you can find your own way. To be present with the actuality of this flow, however, is to recognize that the movement into the three-dimensional plane we know of and the space-time reality that honors our passage through life is coming from a deeper space. And deeper itself is a word that lacks relevance when you retune. In this depth, recognizing what you are is easy. It's present. It flows. You honor what you are in a manner that unfolds like the petals of a flower. And to allow this unfolding is to honor that these petals balance. And so moving through life until you know how to do this involves trying to unravel the ways in which your petals are tangled. And your petals are metaphors for your chakras. Your chakras show you conversationally in a form that accesses your intuition, your intellect. The chakras show you where you're too tangled to allow a deeper access to this balance. And so the walk can be a dance into an attunement that gives you this presence. And each step of this dance can be exquisite. So the beginning of understanding is to not place exquisite divine presence far away after some event that you've imagined in reflection to what you understand is what I'm going through. What happens is yours. And to appreciate that this happening keeps happening. Once the flower petals unfold, they dance. This is a dancing flower. If you do a time-lapse photography of a flower over the course of a day, a cut flower in a vase will move all over on its own if given the space to do so. You are an unfolding flower. Where are you tangled? There is a surge of life force moving through us right now, and resisting it don't make sense. Resisting it is first and foremost an act of your mind. You're seeking stability in a form that is not gonna work. So this is easy to identify. Are you struggling? Are you getting upset in a form that is just like inexplicable? Because you're striving for stability that doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. It's dissolving out from under our feet. And you need to know and then continuously reinforce to yourself as you recognize the signs that you're being triggered because you're striving for a stability that is falling apart. And you need to tell yourself that stability is falling apart. What are you praying for? What are you praying for? I encourage you to start with an acceptance that the times they are a-changing. The flow of life is literal. It's present. It's moving through, in, and around us. And when you fight against it, you suffer. And when you intend to move with it, right away, the act of investing in your intention liberates you. It liberates you from your old lack of awareness, your old stuck prayer. And it is a prayer. Make no mistake. Striving for a form of stability that used to be, when that form of stability is not present, that's a prayer. Whatever you unconsciously reach for is a prayer. It's just not a very good prayer. So as you perfect an awareness and acceptance that life is a prayer, You are praying as you intend through reality. And you need to be able to cast your intentions into the future with some degree of acceptance, awareness of what's actually happening. You're not going to throw your intentions into a form, into a space where they're not going to take life. They're not going to take root. So to be present with this is to accept both the actual presence of spiritual forces, the weather of this world, and to begin with this question of, okay, what's possible? What's possible within this space? And in order to do this, you often have to go backwards. Now, you're not really going backwards, but you need to go within your own concept of time. You need to go backwards within yourself. And when did you abandon you? Now, unfortunately, this is true for many, most people. When did you abandon yourself? Because most of us have had exquisite insight into the reality of our presence in the world and turned away from it because it's too difficult, it's confusing, or it's frustrating. It's not true of everybody. Don't go arguing with me. But I know the character of someone who is actually following their truth. And believe me, you're not petulant and you do not need to prove yourself. You seek to help others. So unless you're in a compassionate space where you know full well you're being very true to yourself, I urge you to come with us today into yourself. Heart. I invite you to breathe in your heart. Breathe in a rhythm that keeps you aware. Your heart chakra, where the first ribs meet. Feel these lines of light. They're gathering through the surface of your body, the felt sense at the surface of your body, and giving you access to this strand, this flame, this flowing fire from your heart. And it's extending into one of the most present spaces of felt sensation. Now, this is a journey that's going to keep going. You're going to get better and better at learning to feel. It's quite frightening learning to feel, because you liberate feelings that they push and pull you in all sorts of incorrect directions. You can't just follow the flow. You can't just follow your feeling all the time. And you need to go into your feeling and bring it into your present, tangible conversation of how to live your life. And then be prepared. When a surge of feeling pushes you in a direction that is not acceptable, you say no, and you learn to change it. I want you to be present with excruciating feelings, torturous feelings, and in the middle of them, intend, in the depth of a prayer that is better than any prayer you've known, intend to attune with a divine presence that's moving on the earth now. Because you will be able to shift extraordinary pain into exquisite presence. And if you have not felt this yet, I do want you to consider it. I want you to remember, when it does hurt, pray. And you pray because if you say no, you will reject all of the spirit, without understanding that the reason it hurts is not because it's painful spirit, not because it's bad energy. It's because the contrast between this energy and your intentions and your presence and your expectations and your habits and your karma, that hurts. It's the contrast that hurts. How do you know? How do you know? You return. There's no better way to say it than deeper. Deeper within yourself. And if you don't remember this depth, want to, what is the depth of my heart? What is the depth beneath what I've known as space? What is the presence within the center of something I didn't even know I could access? Imagining this point that reclaims a seat of your soul. Where does your soul sit? It might not sit within you yet, but it wants to. And inviting your soul's presence into your body, please understand, we don't live this way yet. This is not normal. And if you have somehow created a concept of reality where those who can do such a thing are inaccessibly distant. And then when you engage the potential that maybe this is you, you get caught up in ego trips about, could I be this big? I am this big. Could I? No, I'm not good enough. I am the great. You have to notice you're in a torturous tailspin. You got to let go of the past because the conditions of the past are not the same. You are not confronting the same challenges, the same torturous contradictions that they confronted 500 years ago, 2,000 years ago. It's simply different now. And to be present with this and this challenge is to feel this invitation. This invitation is for you, but please appreciate it is much harder than you may think. As much as we want you to bring as many people into this as you can, this is not purely peaceful. This will pit you against those who you are close to who refuse it. This will pit you against those who you choose, those who you have chosen, in order to present something much, 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 much better. And then the art of helping them choose this is its own challenge. But you first have to be able to say no with the lonely recognition that departing from those you love gives them the space to make this choice for themselves. You can't just drag them with you. You can't insist. You can't say, I'll only go if they'll go. You'll remain tangled by the entanglements of the karmas you share. You have to choose it from a lonely space in a certain sense. And it's bizarre choosing divinity from a loneliness, but it's the best way. It's the best way. It's in these moments that many people weather, that many people get past or fill with distractions or attempt to forget. It's in these moments that you actually have the greatest power to pray. And if you resist the concept of prayer because you have it tangled up in negative associations with people who truly repeat ridiculous, dictatorial statements that don't even make sense, well, take it back, reclaim it. That was never prayer to begin with. That was simply collective repetition. Let it go. Praying is a part of life. You have to learn to pray as a way of being. You have to learn to recognize that you are praying. You're just doing it poorly. Your anxiety is praying for you. You're worrying about what could go wrong, which sets up a dynamic of manifesting that context and then negating it, manifesting it and negating it. That's the real prayer you're making. That's where your energy is going. Very likely, many of you. And there's no solace in pretending otherwise. Your prayers are going into negating your traumas because the presence of your trauma creates a wounded vibrancy that's asking for something, and then your prayer is to stop it. That's a lot of energy. Your prayer is asking for something and stopping it, remembering something and stopping it. But when you remember it, it's presence. And when you presence it, it's creating it. When you're creating it and then say, no, I don't want that, you've just used a lot of energy. That's why we heal. Several of you are carrying vivid traumas, and you step up to me and like, I am like you, brother. And I'm like, what does brother mean if you could choose it? If you could choose the word brother and sister, what does it mean? Now, if you're reaching into our divine soul connection, please appreciate, I love you. When I reconnect with my soul brothers and sisters, you know, one of the first things I do, I go, you got something on your face. I love you. I want to brush this away. I want to help you clean up. If I see a trauma in you and you're trying to pretend that you don't have a trauma, do I love you by going along with your pretense? Do I? I don't think so. I love you by knowing you're in pain and you're putting an awful lot of energy into overcoming this suffering. And if you sexualize it or turn it into a fight to prove yourself, you're not doing either of us any favors. Yes, indeed, I'm talking to several people. Now be present with this, because to reconnect with the level in which we may be soul brothers and sisters is to appreciate, I got up a little early. I did. It's just true. And when I love you, I have learned how to see presence in you that often the greatest The greatest spacing, the things that stand out the most, that which is most in contrast, are wounds that people are attempting to cover up. It's at the heart of the work I do. And when I see these wounds and you're attempting to be someone who's pretending they're not wounded, it's like you're bleeding on the floor. Now, base level, I care about you. Base level, I care about you. And it is utterly exhausting to go along with your pretense that you're not bleeding on the floor. And eventually I'm like, dude, you're getting the floor messy. Now, that's not where I start. I am not primarily annoyed with you. I primarily care. But if you're denying your pain, if you are actively denying it, you do begin to cause problems for other people. And this is where we draw the line. And this is where you need to draw the line with the people you love. We are not here to bring peace. We are here to presence a new way of life. And this is a destruction. It is a destruction of the old way. And those who are still entrenched in defending the old way, not going to work. Right now, we have a haunting. We have a poisoned, parasitic energy. It's of the past. It had a place in the past, and it's dying. And it is fighting. It is fighting through many people. It is fighting through people all over the world for coherence. And it works like this. Power over love. Power over love. And it works like this. When you're afraid, there's something haunting in the night. There's an animal. There's a wild animal in the night. You got to protect yourself from that animal. So you band together. Who do you band together with? You band together with people who are like you. But how do you treat each other? Well, some of them are vicious. But the vicious ones know how to fight the wild animal. So you support the vicious ones who can fight the wild animal. So you put up with their viciousness because they can fight something worse. That's what's going wrong. People are propping up people who they believe are the lesser of two power abusers. And they're doing it all over the world. Now, it looks like patriarchy, but I urge you to realize I think there is a flaw in making this gender-based. Now, it's typically a man in these positions, and it's typically an abusive man because the abusive man can fight off the fears in the night, theoretically. But the reality is many women vote for that man. So it's misleading to think that this is a masculine, feminine thing. What this is it's an old way of life that has settled for vicious people in positions of power. Settled for it. And it feeds them what they want because the belief is they have to be maintained. They have to be held up. Their strength has to be continued, or they will lose to this other terror. And everybody faces the terror, so we got to make sure they stay. So you feed them. But over time, what this looks like is terrible, terrible, terrible patterns. You're feeding them your girls. You feed them your girls. You feed them your wealth. You take way too much from many people and give way too much to people. They don't need it. They're vicious jerks. But they have this latent threat. If you don't keep me fed with what I want, I won't protect you from that terror in the night. So what do we get? We get people and systems of power that are dependent on the terror in the night. So really, the terror in the night is in charge. The terror in the night is in charge. So you know what? Face the terror in the night. That's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing. We're teaching you how to face the terror in the night for yourself. Everybody. I teach my children. And when you can face the terror in the night, you no longer have to depend on a vicious creature to be in charge. And these abusive power dynamics can begin to dissolve, and it's starting. And the surges that are moving through our reality are saying it's time. It's time. But the problem is these abusive patterns have been at the heart of what we've known as normal. They've been propping it up. Behind the scenes, monsters run the show. These awful, greedy more monsters made the movies that we watched. These awful, greedy more monsters win by feeding the politicians. And so when you trace the roots, You find these more monsters, and these more monsters say, hey, you better keep feeding me, or you're going to have to face the terror in the night. So face the terror in the night. This is real. And it happens in the night. That's why you're waking up. You're waking up because it's close. And I'm saying, get up. Wake up. Face it. Let us be with you. You don't feel strong enough? It ruins you one night? Get up the next day. Get stronger. You don't feel strong enough? Learn to tune with us. Because it's the presence of this spirit, this divine spirit that's moving through the world, that becomes your armor and your sword. And then you realize it's only armor and sword for a moment. Really, this is pure light. This is pure sustenance. This is a staff. This is a pole. This is a bean pole. This is a flower lattice. This is what we need it to be. It's only an armor and a shield and a sword and a spear when it has to be. But the presence of the spirit itself is straight up your spine and connects you deep into the ground. You are the light. You are this power. You are this, and you have to believe it. It is every bit what every saint and sage said it was. And yes, indeed, you were invited into it. Be humble. They did it first. They paved the way. It's not the same challenge. You didn't have to do it 500 years ago or 2,000 years ago or 3,000 for that matter, because saints and sages of both genders, of many cultures, have been doing this in different ways for thousands of years. So it's easier now. They've carved out space in the human consciousness. And now it's time for a great rising, for a grand turning of the times where many of us do this, because torturous, brutal power dynamics are still in charge. I pray for those who are suffering under the throes of these projections. I pray for those who are being starved in Gaza. I pray for those who are being bombed in Ukraine. I pray for the Siberian boys who are being told that their families will get placed under threat unless they join the Russian army and become fodder for hell. I pray for the Israeli children who are being taught that they have to dominate with the greatest of brutalities or their families will get hurt. And thus they are turned in to the excruciating horror that perpetuates karma. These cultures lack an awareness of karma. We are still under the throes of karmic wars. And whether they turn into violence or not, they're all over the planet. And we got to clean them up. And you clean them up in the night. You clean it up when you're alone. When you're waking and the other people in your family are still asleep. You clean it up and you say, you become this. You become this light. You do it when it's scary, and then you learn to do it when it's peaceful. The fears, the terrors become annoying. The fears, the terrors become an excuse to get up. They become a challenge to dance. You got to want it this way. To think in terms of, you don't win and it all leaves. This is not Tolkien. These are not orcs we're confronting. These are our own projections. And when you project your pain on someone else, and then treat them that way, and then they lash out at you, they affirm what you thought you saw, and you have a real war. It's more than a chicken and the egg problem. It's something quite simple beyond that. It's playing hot potato with negative energy. And if you think you're not contributing it when you consume violence as your results, as your response, as your medicine, you think of medicine, medicinal violence. So you're afraid, and the solution is to strike. Really? You just generated a little more hell. You want to know the simple secret? You don't generate it. You don't generate it. You say, I'm willing. I'm willing to do what's necessary to defend my family. No more. And then you seek, you pray for the simplest, most gracious solution. You pray with hope and love. You pray that those you've considered to be an enemy convert. Some of the most inspiring people in my life are the mothers of children who have been brutalized, who prayed for the men who did it, who prayed to redeem the men who brutalized their children, because that was the best way they could think to make the world a better place. If you think of that as weakness, you misunderstand greatly what it takes to face the terrors in the night. I do not work to redeem every terror in the night. I pray for what's necessary. Necessary. I will presence the light in the face of every terror. And I'll do it as little as is necessary. I don't want to have to do it. But I will not be a part of passing my pain or the pain of my family and friends onto something else, onto someone else. Because these are great channels of karmic pain. Most people are buying into it and trying to outsource it, send it away, send it somewhere else. When you deal with it in the moments of your days, and when you wake and you pray and you presence the light in the middle of the darkness, eventually you barely notice the same terrors that used to consume you. And you learn to appreciate you were amplifying them all along. What you thought was a gigantic terror was something sitting in front of a flashlight. You know how this works? Like you put something in front of the light. I don't know if this is good. Yeah, you put something in front of the light. The terror was this little thing. The light is you. You're the light. You were letting a terror get in front of your light. You were letting a terror convince you to give up. Most of us do it. There's no shame in it. Just get your mind in there. Figure out how you were doing it. Change it. Change it. I'm going to tell you a funny story. Then we're going to do a little yoga. Then we're going to do some prayers and we'll see what happens. I want you to hear these. Right now, thousands of people are being infused with light to be beacons of sorts through social media in many cases, teachers of sorts. But bearers of the light, I think, is the most important factor. And in harmonic resonance, you can come and you can be present with what I'm doing and you can take on some of the resonance. And then you stay and you learn more of what we have here, what we hold here, and you learn to do some of it yourself so you can be some of this spreading light for others. And make no mistake, this is a network all over the world, and you can see the same themes emerging in so many places, but it's still tangled. And a lot of people are having trouble tuning in on their own, and a lot of people are having trouble staying tuned in. So I want you to hear this story as a filter, as a way to recognize who you're listening to. Because many of you are so deeply trusting that, in fact, you don't recognize it's your power, it's your faith that bring others to life. And I want you to respect yourself in this way so you appreciate that your attention matters greatly. So, the year 2000, I left my life. I left a woman I thought I'd marry and a job that was high paying and fast-tracked in the internet.com boom. And I found myself in a large empty house. And I was learning and I was hearing guidance, but I was scared. It was hard to pay attention to. It was hard to stay with. And to ground myself, I was renovating this house. It was a family home, needed to be sold, but it was in terrible shape. So the family was going to lose money. So it was an incredible opportunity to give me some peace, to help me change direction. And I would do as much as I could on my own. I didn't really know how to renovate a house, but I was learning. And when I would reach a problem that was too difficult, like a more complex electrical or plumbing issue, I would hire someone. And so I started to notice, I remember after the fourth contractor came, they had a bit of a pattern. They'd show up and they're looking at something which I was acknowledging I didn't understand. Right? So, and be present. This is a metaphor. This is an analogy you could use with spiritual teachers and guides. So I was telling them, I don't understand these, but I could watch how they behaved, right? So I didn't understand the electrical dynamics, but I'm human. Stick with your intuition. Know your gut. So they're coming in and they're going, oh man, yeah, I see. You got a real problem here. Oh, the last guy who did this, man, they really messed up. They should have used a T43 contraptor, and they didn't. Oh man. You're lucky you've got me. You're lucky you've got me here because that last guy really sucked. This was dangerous. You need me. Now, like, when you don't know from the beginning what the real heart of the challenge is, well, maybe I should trust this guy. They obviously know something. But the reality is, it's unlikely that the last person was a complete fraud. Now, after the first time, I'm like, yeah, maybe. Wow, I'm really lucky. But after 4 of these situations with plumbers, carpenters, I'm like, this is a strategy. This is a strategy to make yourself important in relation to someone who's not there to defend themselves, not there to articulate. But base level, this is a strategy of someone who is not cooperative. They're not someone who gets along. They don't play well with others. They're trying to make themselves important by knocking someone else down. Now, in the course of my holistic journey, I've studied with dozens of good teachers. Good. I was looking for the best, and I was traveling to them in the United States. So I was finding some of the best teachers in the world. And they frequently said, the best teachers are here in New York, LA, the Bay, the woods, the desert. I went all over. And I learned when they were able to respect the teachers that I'd learned from and say, wow, it's really awesome that you know these. You've done a lot of work. Good for you. That teacher really taught you well. Whew, did I respect them more. And when they highlighted my failings or my flaws and said, wow, that person should have fixed that, I said, look, it would be irresponsible to just learn from one person. You should learn from many teachers. You should. There are lots of things I'm not good at. I am very good at the trunk of your spirit. I am very good at the staff. As it so happens, it's critical. The staff of Hermes is your core energy channel. It reignites your soul, roots you with your spirit, and brings you to life. But I know very little about acupuncture points, and you need them because this is about getting that spirit into your physical form. I know very little about certain kinds of parasitic energies. Not aware on those planes, not the best at responding to them. So when you have specific problems, you need to be able to seek others, and I'm inviting you to recognize there is a grand web of collaboration emerging. There's a divine network of life springing into existence. There's a divine Christ consciousness grid that is feeding us now. And all you have to do is seek others who are all trusting this together. So seek those who are intending into this harmony. Seek those who are intending to bring the world to life. And there are simple measures. I remember when I first started teaching, I could sense my own flaws if I felt threatened by someone else's skill and presence. If I felt threatened by how good someone else was as a yoga teacher, as an energy worker, wow, I just abandoned my desire for the world to spring to life. The world is still being controlled by brutal karmic men, supported by circles of people who are afraid and put those men into power. We're still being led by frauds, cheats, and sex abusers. Straight up, that's what's leading. Those are the people who have many of the levers of power in this world. That's the reality of where we are. We need every divine person to come to life who can. We need every divine energy worker to presence as much light as they can do in a healthy way and spread it and teach it with consciousness. We can't afford a shred of competition between us. No way. We don't have time for it. But when we're all under threat from these abusive characters who have no fear about exerting their power, just crushing, it's tempting to avoid them and fight with each other. and we have no place for it. And I want you to carry this. When you watch YouTube videos, I want you to ask these questions, because everyone who says, I'm ready, I'm going to put my light out in the world, I want them to succeed. I want them to succeed. I just don't want them to be manipulative and overuse sex and power dynamics in order to get there. Now, there's a way to hold people in check and challenge people just from your heart. When you watch a YouTube video, if you ask a question, you're participating in a divine conversation. You're heard. You're heard. Just when you watch the video. If you make a comment, all the better. But it's happening while you watch. Your attitude and just saying, I wonder if this person really should be leading other people right now. I assure you, when you're just going through your spiritual awakening, not the best time to be leading other people. You don't know what's going on yet. So when I urge you to be quiet during such times, you could consider it a threat or a power dynamic. Or you could learn a lesson without having to suffer. When you're going through a spiritual awakening, if you get attention by opening up your intimacy broadly to like whoever, you're going to have people latch on to you who you will then be entangled with. So yes, you might get money out of the deal. You might get them to pay you something. You might get affirmation. You might get the stability of them saying, wow, you're great. Wow, you're special. It does give a semblance of stability for a while, but it's not actually very stable. It will collapse, and worse, it keeps you entangled on those vibrations. When you're going through a spiritual awakening, you want to move through a lot. You have to be able to try on feelings and let them go, and try them on and let them go. One of my most consequential lessons was to freestyle. I learned to freestyle a lot. And the art of it very explicitly was being taught to me by my spiritual guides to embody strong feelings and release them. And they were saying, don't remember this song. Again, don't remember this song. And I would see whole scenarios where I would have an inspiration. It would become a song. I would sing it for a couple hours and I'd be like, this is so good. Like the world needs to hear this. This is beautiful. And I would see myself playing it in front of thousands of people. And it was very clear that the world needed this. Those thousands of people needed it. You know what? They probably did. And they probably still do. But if I had become that, I would be the person who resolved my heartache of a painful breakup. And I'd be stuck on that heartache of a painful breakup. And I'd be teaching other people who were going through that painful breakup how to go through that painful breakup for 20 years. Is that what you want to do? Because that is what you will do if you try to be a teacher too soon with issues and dynamics that you're not really very competent on. Now, I say it that way because I want you to come to life. I want you to spring to life. And if you have an inspiration to be a public figure, if you have an inspiration to be out there doing your work, we need it so badly. We need it. I'm here to support you. Let me be your teacher, because many of you need it. And many of you who are trying to see a reflection in me, but aren't ready to hold the same kind of space, you will suffer if you keep trying to do it that way. And I don't want you to. I won't have to put you in your place. Life will. A couple of you have slipped lately, and this is why. And I want to be able to help you stand, because the world needs you. The world needs you. We all do. So I'm going to do a little yoga. Here's the goal. Real quick. What's your challenge? What's your 2-minute challenge that gets your heart rate up? What is it? You need to know this. You need to have several eventually, but get one. Base level 10 squats. Okay? Base level 10 squats. If you can't do 10 squats, you need to learn to do 10 squats. So you're going down as low as you comfortably can. How low can you go to get 10, where by the time you get 10, you're tired? I've taken to doing this with my daughter on my back. Over time, you make it harder. But really, 10. What's 10? And really, you can just make it rough. Stop counting and just do it. until you're like, I really can't do another. And then stay. I want you to be able to stay in this position for 5 minutes. It's a good goal. Now, either keep doing that or do something harder. If you don't want to know the truth, the truth is individuals aren't the problem. There's a parasitic energy that has a consciousness that teaches men to abuse children. There's a parasitic energy that has a consciousness that teaches men to want to fuck young girls. What it does is it communicates to them that this is power. And this is the archetypal energy of a patriarchy. I want a better word, but it's this caveman sex dynamic where we're going to empower some men to face the terror in the night and then give them the most primal, purest essence. And these men, what they're doing is they're trying to play by a different set of rules. Let those who have ears hear. They're trying to play by a different set of rules, and their rules say, we're the ones that show these girls what it is to be a woman when they come of age. They need us because they're frantic and they don't know how to handle their energy. I've come easily close to enough men who think this way to know how they think. Truth is, they don't need it at all. If those men weren't around, the girls wouldn't be frantic because they're feeling the displaced energy of those men. They're feeling the displaced energy of their community that still thinks this way. And if they knew how to effectively reject it, they wouldn't be frantic. And they certainly don't need sex at 13. None of them do. They never have, and they never will. It's not a real need. But this parasitic consciousness is still teaching. It's still teaching in the mind. The truth is, all of this stuff comes from a very real place. The reality is the QAnon conspiracies are painfully close to the truth, but it's worse than they think. Because the root is not human. The root is a parasitic energy in fifth dimensional space. And it's parasitic around the dynamics of time. So it eats negative karma. It eats it in a manner that perpetuates it. But it relieves it for the moment, which is why people have accepted it. So what it's doing is it's consuming something that really does induce problems in communities. But it works in a way like a swing. Imagine a child on a swing. You push the swing away, it's just going to come right back. In fact, it's going to begin to gain momentum every time you push it a little harder. So the gaining of momentum smacks. And people are effectively making karmic decisions to feed the terror, but it just comes back for more. And they feed it, and they think that they get relief, but it comes back for more. The Carthaginians massacred, they sacrificed hundreds of their own children when the Romans approached their city gates. They intentionally sacrificed their children. We're still doing the same thing. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of girls have admitted that all these powerful men raped them. And don't hesitate to call it rape, because when you use your mind to manipulate a much less powerful person to believe they need something, that's rape. It's rape. So when these hundreds and hundreds of girls say, this is what's happened to me, and they just get blocked, this is the world we live in. This is the world we live in. And make no mistake, it is affecting you. You can't hide from this. When you look at the visage of some of these men, you know their names. You know the most prominent names for sure. When you look at their heads on a thumbnail, they're trying to seduce you. They're trying to seduce you. Feel it. They know you're there. That's how much awareness you need to bring to this to be present and to stay with your light. They know you're there because it's not those men. It's a parasitic energy that moves through those men. And make no mistake, it has everything to do with plenty of the women who set them up. Don't fall for this sense that the woman is somehow softer. She, in many cases, forces the man to keep doing it. You know, the one who's in jail who just got moved to a cushy place? Oh man, every time the men slipped away, she told them to go back to the pattern because it kept her in power too. They generated that totally together. Men and women fed the girls to the monsters to stay in power. And they're feeding them a form of power. It's energy. They're consuming negative energy and changing it into expressed power. It gives them strength to get up during the day. It gives them clarity to think in a certain form. They're doing it on purpose. They always have been. And if you say my guy is different than their guy, this has nothing to do with political affiliation. There are plenty of people on both sides of the polarity are doing it and always have. Make no mistakes. It's always been this way. It's always been this way. It's time to end it. What does it take to end it? Be someone who stands up. Be someone who, when you wake up, ask if anything vicious is near you. Ask. When you awaken in the night, ask if there's something vicious near you and turn your light on. The only thing it doesn't want is you to turn your light on. Your light shines light on it. It doesn't like it. The whole point is there's an ability to maintain a concept of self in the darkness that is actually quite fragile in the face of light. Now, really, you always have the potential to bring this light to life. Christ is within you. The moment you, on that little spark, comes to life. The moment you bring that light into the world, all they try to do is dim it. They're going to try for a little while. Dim it. Bend your mind. And every single one of you needs to know this. Every single one of you. None of you are an exception. Because people around you don't know it, and you can do this for your family. Everyone in your family doesn't need to know how to do this. You do. Now, some of you might have been complaining that we charge money to teach you how to get better at this. Do you have another suggestion on how I'm supposed to make a living? I don't have enough money to live right now. It's getting better. It's getting better. But my thresholds, I haven't reached them. I have legitimate thresholds for a way of life that is good. And I will charge you for my time and work. Guess what? Jesus told me to. You might not believe that. That's yours. Money works. It flows. We're being legit and supportive with it. If you actually have skills that are deeply valuable to us, great. You could use that. I encourage you to recognize that what you choose to trust is you. What you choose to trust and what you choose to distrust is you. And when I hold space for someone who's going through a trauma, sometimes I wake up in the night thinking about you. If you're not going to pay me to help you handle that, who are you? Do you think I owe you something? Do you think I owe you something because you think I'm beautiful occasionally? Let me tell you, the people who are the most problematic to me think I'm special and then get very resentful when I don't meet their expectations. Those are the most problematic people. People who come in just attacking me because I'm like a demon, because I go against their version of the Bible. That's straightforward. I know how to handle that shit. People who come in and think I'm wonderful and I'm the next Cryon, and then, oh my God, I can't believe you think this, and then they just send me all sorts of dissonance. Have I made myself clear? We've got some really wonderful programs emerging. I hope you'll look into them. The teacher training is going fantastically. So we've gotten this teacher training to a depth where people are doing really clear, deep work on each other. I am doing very powerful past life regression series on people. Now, I can't do this with everyone. Sometimes I will tell you no if you seek this service because you just aren't ready. But when you are ready to either cope with some of the most difficult traumas from a past life that are breaking through, but more importantly, to reclaim some of the most amazing skills you have from a past life, I know how to do it. And it's a commitment that's worth keeping. So ask around in the community. Many people have gone through these processes, are going through these processes. You'll learn to appreciate why they're so crucial, why they're so essential. A little bit more. This is a time of hope. This is a time of change. You don't get one without the other. The reason we're feeling all these incredible challenges, all these ugly powers, the presence of these disgusting forces is because it's ready to do away with them. This really is the time where we get to say no to these patterns, this caveman sex patriarchal bullshit. It's really time. So to be a part of that really and truly is to bring your light to life as a foundation. And then from there, things start to unfold. So there's an art to keeping yourself lit. And that art ends up being very practical. And it ends up reaching into you and finding out what are your greatest skills, what is the most accessible blessings that you have to bring and share. Be present with how incredibly personal this is. Divine energy knows how to seep into every pore of who you are. The way in which I can see the breadth of you in spirit is a rudimentary version of how divinity itself sees you. I'm doing my best to channel this into physical form where I can use a conversational engagement with you to bring you to life and to help you trust it. But make no mistake, an angel could see many more layers of you with much greater perspective. And the first and most important use of this is to say, what am I for? How can I best fit into this world? How can I best contribute to making this a better place? And I really can promise you that the answers are better than you hope for. But if you keep asserting an answer or struggling with an answer or a request or a prayer that is out of tune with your greatest potential, you're not going to get anything except a little bit of a mess. Let us help you clean up your mess and pray for clarity. We're here for you. Now you'll notice I'm not taking questions during this time anymore. It really does stress me out to engage and read, and it also pulls me away from the channeling of it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to keep my distance in this way, but I've noticed I just do a better job. So we do gather after this for lightning sessions where really the point is to bring your lightning to life inside you. That's the root intention. And then the story of what's in the way of that or what you have to do to make that possible is the story we share. So we do that with a couple people. And in part, it's an example. In part, it's a group ceremony where some of that transformation happens for everybody when one person goes through it. So we're doing that still live in a Google Meet, which you can access through the YouTube Live link or the Google Live link, which is on the website, wildflowerfire.com. Main page, join the gathering. We'll be there pretty soon. I'm going to take a little time to cool this down. If you could breathe with us in your heart. Keep doing it. This is a time to bring the sacred into everything we do. How you live every day, how you act, how you breathe, how you think, how you work with money, how you resolve your fights, how you negotiate with your partner, how you let people go when they need to be let go, how you seek connection, how you engage entertainment, how you think about people you don't trust, how you think about people who threaten you. We bring the sacred into these dynamics, and the perspective to heal them and to navigate through the chaos emerges far more easily. I'm grateful to do this with you. And for those of you who are ready, come a little closer. We have a community. You're welcome. Love be with you and your family.